Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here,
And Blue Dragon 5.
and welcome to a special 35th anniversary retrospective podcast for Sesame Street Presents Follow That Bird, the first and, let's be honest, the greatest theatrical Sesame Street movie. Dragon, let's just dive right into this with some nostalgia and thesis and everything. I'm excited to get to this one. This is one that I've been wanting to do for a while, and of course, with the 35th, we didn't quite hit the 35th anniversary, folks. I believe it was last week, but we're within the month. So, Dragon, I think you'll probably have more attachment to this than I do, but the attachment I have to this is actually through clips. This is one of those situations where I think you might remember me saying something about this, Dragon, because I kind of experienced the Muppet movie kind of broken up in the same way, where I'd have, I'd watch VHS tapes of essentially sing-alongs of Muppet songs and Sesame Street songs and stuff like that. So I am freaking sure that I saw all the songs in this movie as a child. However, Dragon, I gotta say, this is the first time watching it as an adult, and I gotta say that the movie's not perfect. It's probably not in the realm of like the first two Muppet movies or anything, but for what it is, it's super charming. I mean, it absolutely takes the essence of Sesame Street and puts it up on the big screen in a kind of a big, bold way. It's ambitious. It's got a great cast of characters. I think everyone from this era of the show is well represented. And Dragon, you know what? I'm not going to lie. It's kind of nice not having Elmo around.
It's funny. Elmo, I'm pretty sure, I can't guarantee, I'm pretty sure this is before Kevin Clash even enters as the Elmo voice. So Elmo appears at the very end, but you can't hear him.
Oh, God.
That's like, so he's there. It's when they have like the stock kind of monster Muppet before they really had like a fully fleshed out Elmo. Anyway.
So, Dragon, what's your background with this?
Well, I mean, kind of get the thesis in there as well. So Sesame Street. You have the big leap to the big screen after the Muppet movie cameos, which of course probably my first introduction to Sesame Street period through those Muppet movie kind of cameos. So again, you see Big Bird there, and of course Great Muppet Caper got Oscar, and of course a whole bunch of the Sesame Street gang that kind of is in the very last moments of the Muppet movie. And of course, kind of the column A fits in the column B, kind of happen upon the Sesame Street show, and the rest is history. So, this is, you look at this movie. This movie is kind of Sesame Street Snoopy Comes Home, in a sense.
Oh, very much so. Easily, yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely concur in that this so well captures the spirit of Sesame Street in how it went feature length without compromising its charm or going big in the action department. There's no like, well, we need to go whammo blammo with the action. We're doing a feature. We need to throw in a mustache twirly villain. That doesn't happen until Elmo and Grouchland. We don't.
Oh God.
That's what I'm saying. Like we haven't quite. We haven't quite made a compromise to get this, to get to the big screen for another time, because this is the original time where there's so much kind of goodwill built up with the Muppets. It's like, hey, let's give them a shot, and it's like all of this, I think, in part and parcel, and a great deal, I think, is due to the goodwill of Big Bird as a character. Using him as the anchor is what kind of is the X factor for this movie. I mean, again, we've seen it kind of following other characters. I mean, literally, you take any other Sesame Street character, nothing against them, but if you take any of them, I mean, even Super Grover, I can imagine like a short film or something. I can't really see them carrying a feature. Any one of them. We saw with Elmo how that turned out. You see my point. This Big Bird, using him as the anchor, as the heart of the film, he also helps legitimize the shenanigans of the rest of the gang, as little, over the top as they may be in places. It's wonderfully kind of like tied to the heart of like, we got to get Big Bird back. We got to follow that bird. One could say, in terms of my nostalgia, I wish the heck I was around when this was in theaters versus Elmo and Grouchland when that was in theaters.
Oh man, I feel the same way, buddy.
I know, because this absolutely speaks to that era of Sesame Street.
I mean, to be fair, I feel the same way about the Muppet movies that we got in the 90s, mainly Treasure Island and Muppets from Space versus, the Muppet movies of of yesteryear.
Yeah, oh god.
But then we got the
and-
two 2010s Muppet movies, and that was cool. That was a good time to be a Muppet fan.
Yes, it was.
Anyways,
So my point is, so again, I like that this speaks so well to the the golden era of Sesame Street. Like this, like the heyday of classic Sesame Street from like the '70s to '80s era. That's kind of where we're at with this, and it's kind of really refreshing to kind of see that captured so well. And again, I really like that this is kind of it's the model for taking it something that's kind of the demographic where it's targeted mainly towards kids. It's absolutely a kids movie. This is a kids movie done right, where it doesn't have like the wide appeal of the Muppets. Muppets for everybody. Sesame Street, again, it's kind of initially targeted towards kids, but again, also like it kind of builds in a fondness for the adults as they go by. It's like the adults aren't going to forget it when they grow older, but it's not going to have quite the same. Hey, let's rush out to see the new Sesame Street movie versus like, oh my God, the Muppets are back. Doesn't quite have the same thing. But what I love is that this is it kind of takes that demographic with the. And we're representing it so well when we go theatrical that years later it can still be appreciated. And of course, 35 years later, it can absolutely still be appreciated.
Sure.
Again, perfect idea of a premise, by the way. Just like we have a character trying to get back to Sesame Street, the whole genesis of the show. Like, hey, how do I get to Sesame Street? I mean, it makes perfect sense when you really think about it, right? Yeah.
All right. So, Dragon, why don't you tell them about the pursuit angle we're going with tonight?
Sure. So, folks, I mean, given the title and given what happens in the film, we're assuming you've seen it. But again, we're going to kind of reminisce about it as we go forward. But we're going to kind of like tie it thematically here, because a central theme of this feature film that we're about to kind of embark on is pursuit. The whole thing's about pursuing and follow that bird. We're going after that bird, i.e., kind of like the pursuit of Big Bird, but also, the friends they're trying to pursue Big Bird themselves. So yeah, everyone's in pursuit of something, and we're going to thematically tie that into the journey. Like Big Bird, he's kind of in search of something himself as well. Like kind of he's kind of going back home. He has to earn the way back home. Kind of make it old Joseph Campbell in here. You know what I mean? The point being, we're going to kind of break this down. Kind of like what are Big Bird and his friends kind of in pursuit of? Kind of broadly in the film. That's kind of we're going to tie together what we're talking about here. So we're going to start off with the pursuit of belonging.
All right, so let's just this is kind of just to introduce kind of like the Act 1 sort of story stuff. So let's talk about Miss Finch, because I think that Miss Finch is a really, really fascinating quote unquote villain, where it's like she's more so just misguided, and she's very much the antagonist of the movie and very much the obstacle that we're trying to avoid. But by no means is she like an inherently evil person.
So you hit upon one of my favorite things on the rewatch, Tiki, is I love how tempered our antagonists are in this film. Because again, the movie hits the balance so well for a young audience, where we don't have any mustache twirly or like truly evil people in this movie. I mean, the worst is like not even a playground bully later on in our duo later. They're not even that bad. It's just like they're sleazy.
Honestly, they're like Jimmy McGill style side hustlers, Dragon.
Sure, that's the thing. Like they're honestly they're more harmless hustlers. They just luck into it for the most part. But that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no one's truly evil in the movie, and I appreciated that so much. Like we're not forcing the villainy here. It's just I mean, again, it's the moral. Some people don't trust them. Doesn't mean they're bad. Just that means they're going to take advantage of people, which is not great. But still, I mean, it doesn't mean they're like inhuman monsters. And we see point being more on that later. But what I'm saying is, Miss Finch absolutely captures that as well. She's kind of the antagonist, but again, she means well. And if you think about it from her perspective, she's on the board of the Feathered Friends board of birds. She's a social worker. She's kind of like a less cool version of Cobra Bubbles. Nothing again. I'm not saying she's bad. I'm saying Cobra Bubbles is awesome. That's all I'm saying there. But that's what
Yeah.
Like she's in the right here. She's just trying. She sees, oh my God, this poor 6-year-old bird is like alone in this neighborhood with no other giant bird families.
I love that we really play up the fact that Big Bird is like a child in this movie.
Absolutely, and again, that's where the interesting sympathy is in the narrative between Finch and Big Bird here. Again, she's like the shark in the water here. Oh God, Miss Finch, we got to get out of here. But still, it's like she just doesn't get it because she's misguided. But again, she's just like a social worker trying to be good at her job here. But again, I'd say maybe it's saying she's not becoming aware of herself here. She's not seeing all the angles. She's just seeing like the paperwork side of things. That's her
Right,
issue.
right.
Yeah. And also, basically, she's kind of on that arc of just kind of trying to figure out, like, integrated and kind of surrogate families aren't bad and all unconventional. She has her eyes open to that through the course
And
of the
Dragon,
movie.
if I were to be kind of philosophical for a second, I
Yeah,
feel
sure.
like America itself was on that same arc at the time.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Do away with the nuclear family. Let's jazz it up a little bit.
So speaking of which, so we have the offers to find a family, which I love how genuine they come across, and I really like how Big Bird is just like he sees no malice in it. He sees no like he's genuinely thrilled at the opportunity. You know what I mean? He leaps at the chance to take it because that's just the kind of character Big Bird is.
But I love how childlike it is. I love how, and I completely
Exactly.
forgot this
Yeah.
sequence was animated, and this warmed my heart so much, just seeing like Big Bird kind of having this fantasy. Like she builds up kind of this ideal fantasy. Again, not she's basically going for what she's aiming for, but again, she's not clarifying how exactly this is going to work, which leads Big Bird's imagination to kind of run wild a little here, where he's expecting kind of the nuclear family. Oh boy, I could have a mother and father and like a sister and a brother, like a new family unit. And basically, Big Bird, I love in essence Big Bird. What's made him so wonderful, and he's kind of a lonely character,
Hmm.
and you gotta love him for it. There's always like a little bit. There's always been that little bit like Big Bird, as fun as he is, as like he's always having fun with the kids and everything, and the people in the neighborhood. At the end of every episode, he always goes home alone to his nest.
Yeah.
And you
Sure.
always
Sure.
felt like, oh, he doesn't have like parents like Elmo or the bear or like or baby bear and like all that. He doesn't have that going on for him. It's like there's like always a little bit of sadness there. And that cartoony portrait of a family, it's just kind of heartbreaking, but also you can absolutely register the temptation. Like a kid just wants a sense of family, wants someone to tuck him in at night that maybe looks a little bit like him. You get it. And speaking like in a metaphorically, well, not sorry, not metaphor, just speaking a little,
Mhm.
a little philosophically, I guess, or a phrase from you, speaks to the it kind of speaks to something really very realistic, where it's kind of the hopes and promises versus the deflating realities of life. Again, I like that we're building kind of the big themes within kind of a very simple story here.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. So that kind of leads to the big goodbye, which is absolutely the
Mhm.
Snoopy comes home
I
moment.
know, right? Yeah, this
It's
is
not as
absolutely.
traumatic. It's not as traumatic.
Oh no.
Nothing is as traumatic as Snoopy comes home. My God, but but it's up there though.
It's so, of course, one of the great characters from Sesame Street. One of the great all-time friendships ever of Sesame Street. It's Big Bird and his pal, Mr. Snuffleupagus.
Okay, Dragon, I want to talk about this. Was there always like a distorted audio quality with Snuffleupagus?
I'm pretty sure. At the very,
Okay,
if it
like
wasn't always
is
there,
it
at
an
least in the
intentional
80s.
thing or is it just kind of like a technical issue?
I think it was just something they liked and just kind of kept it
Okay,
around. I think it
okay.
was like, I
Because I
don't know.
got to
I
be
think,
honest with you, it's been a long time since I've seen any sort of Snuffleupagus footage, and it kind
well,
of
like,
threw me off a little
all I
bit.
can all I can assume is that in this era, like in the 80s, 70s, 80s era of Snuffleupagus, maybe they redid it as it went forward, but at the very
Uh,
least in the olden days, it was probably like this. I'm pretty sure it was something like this. But yeah,
Gotcha.
you have classic Jerry Nelson, doing the Snuffleupagus here.
But yeah, I mean, as you said, it's absolutely like a friendship for the ages, and they take full advantage of that throughout the movie. I just love the simple promise of Snuffleupagus going to visit Big Bird is like kind of like the heart of the movie. Like that's the big driving force, you
And
know?
that's the thing that kind of tears it for Big Bird later on when he can't achieve that. It's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah, oh yeah.
and again, that friendship is just so. And I love just like the walk and talk quality of it all. It's just like, oh, Bird, it's the promise. Can you promise to watch my nest and my things?
Oh
Of
God,
course, Bird. I'd do anything for you. And then he's hugging him with the trunk, man. It melts the heart.
totally, totally.
And again, like broadly after Snuffleupagus, because he's an MVP. How can you be
Mhm.
received like that? But still, the neighborhood is collective, like the last goodbyes. Kind of
I want to just take a moment to acknowledge how much I genuinely appreciate all the adult characters in this movie.
Who's your favorite?
Probably Maria was.
Maria's always.
But then, shit, is it George?
I mean, Gordon, the one with the mustache?
Gordon. Yeah. I think Gordon and Maria have a really good dynamic with each other.
Yeah, Maria's always been my favorite, because I always remember, like, Big Bird goes to the hospital, and there's this beautiful scene.
She's been involved with, like, a bunch of, like, really, really intense, heartfelt Big Bird moments, for sure.
Yeah, she actually gave birth, they kind of inspired by real life, I'm sure. She had gave birth to her daughter on Sesame Street, and, introduced the Big Bird in the whole menagerie. But yeah, like this whole thing, like Big Bird's being checked in once at the hospital, and it's this thing of like she's filling out the paperwork. Are you his mother's? Well, no, but yeah, sure.
Yeah. Nice.
I can't get enough of Maria. But yeah, Maria, Luis, the whole gang, they're fantastic. Anyway. But yeah, so I love we're kind of flirting with a literal empty nest syndrome for a community of people. Where again, it's like it's this beautiful scene when you look at it now, when you're growing up and everything. Again, the 35 years later factor, where
absolutely,
it's saying that it's like your kid's going off to college. Essentially, it's sort of like he's a 6-year-old, mind you. So again, I love there's kind of like you're a toe in both worlds here. But again, I love how they're accepting that he'd like to give it a try. Where he's not cutting the totally. He doesn't necessarily want to go, but it's like the idea of I could have something more here. And again, it's like why everyone kind of leaves home at some point, where it's like just the temptation, the flirtation, like there might be something out there, it might go wrong, it might be back, but still, I want to give it a try.
Mm-hmm. I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah. So, and of course, here's the thing that breaks my heart in the rewatch. It was wonderfully where it's this perfect kind of economized moment of what Sesame Street was all about, where as Big Bird leaves, they're all like the whole gang, all colorful characters are saying, like Maria says, "Don't forget to write." Then the Count says, "Don't forget to count." And then you have
the Count is absolutely the comedic MVP of this movie.
He is. I love he's in the credits. That's fantastic. We have, let's see, I think it was like Bob or Louise saying, "Don't forget to dress warm," and then Grover coming in like, "Don't forget to breathe in and out." and that's what I'm saying. I love in this last moment where if Big Bird were to leave Sesame Street, it's this perfect note of like the educational nature of Sesame Street is boding farewell to its greatest student. The person who's always learning from his friends on Sesame Street, and he's leaving. He's trying to leave him with some nuggets of knowledge for him to go with on the road. Like, don't forget these lessons we tried to impart on you all these years. That's beautiful, isn't it?
Well put, man. Well put. Beautifully said.
All right.
Alrighty, so let's get to the pursuit of family. And of course, Dragon the Dodos. I mean, just Jesus Christ.
Okay, before we get into those, I just want to. I love the fact that Big Bird. This always just amused me as a kid, and still amuses me now. Big Bird's flying on a plane. And he's a bird,
right.
But he's flying on a plane. Indiana Jones. He travels by map as well. I'm sorry. Yes, the Dodos.
Okay, the Dodos. I think they are the closest thing to being malicious in this movie.
I think it's unintentionally malicious, but yeah, it's a nightmare situation, no question. Yeah.
But I do like how the movie kind of like starts out where it's almost kind of like comedically a bad situation, and then it kind of like evolves into a genuinely bad situation.
I want to know if you had this, because I did on the rewatch here, where I love that there's like this element to the Dodos that just kind of registers as we need to communicate to an audience, especially a young audience, but we don't want to spell it out because we don't want to treat the audience like they're dopes. We want to educate them, but we also want to give them a feeling in this movie. The movie is very predicated on wanting an audience to feel something.
Absolutely, yeah.
And with that, I love that there's like a sense you get with the Dodos, and I kind of think I nailed it down here, where we're saying that sometimes you can't force a right fit in any family situation. There's a reason for the foster care system isn't a slam dunk, folks. There's a reason it's not a slam dunk every time. Sometimes it's not a right fit. And here's the thing. They're such an odd bunch, and you look at them, the suits, they're doing suit performances, and there's just something with the design that I think is inherently and intentionally off, where they look more like suits than they do puppets. It's not like suit puppets. It's like barely the mouths move. Don't get me wrong, but the eyes barely move, and
it looks kind of. It's kind of goes into the uncanny valley a little bit in a way that Big Bird doesn't.
Like, they don't look like anything else on Sesame Street. And I think it registers as something's not right here. And again, it looks a little, if not artificial, uncanny being the perfect term for it. Yes. And that's what I'm saying. It feels very intentional, though. You're not supposed to feel like this is a right fit. And at the moment that really got me, too, is the Kiss Goodnight bit, where in his fantasy, he imagined the Kiss Goodnight. And it's a bit sad where he's a giant postcard. I love how we keep cutting the stuff off. Oh, Bird would be so proud of me watching his stuff. And then, of course, he writes him a giant postcard, which is adorable. And that's the big last straw. Like, hey, you're a bird. You can't hang out with him. You can't come here to Canary Row. What are you, nuts?
Yeah, Big Bird's just like, fuck that shit. And so he decides to, I mean, not really, but...
Pretty much. That's always the wake-up call. And also,
Dragon, I terribly need to check my language on these things.
We're
talking about Sesame Street here. Yeah. God damn. Oh, God, I almost didn't get... Wow. I just have a potty mouth, Dragon. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
Yep.
Anyways,
anyway, I love the design of Canary Row, because if you look at it, I love how all the houses in this like suburban neighborhood, in this bird suburban neighborhood. I'm sorry, dumb joke. Anyway, the point being, I like how they there's like an elevator built in, or like, I guess maybe the world's tiniest staircase. I'm assuming an elevator that goes up to the house. It's like on like imaginary stilts, as it were. I mean, you go up to a bird house. That's really inventive. Good design work. So Big Bird, he's running away. But again, not running away aimlessly. He's running away to Sesame Street, which again, how the heck is he going to get to Sesame Street? So, and you can't blame him given the craziness. They're like letting lawnmowers like run about. They can't even get into the little kiddie pool. It's crazy over there, man. They're nuts, and they can't even. Here's the thing. Also, the other clincher, like the third thing that kind of went wrong with Big Bird and everything here, is that the kids just couldn't pretend. The kids just had no imagination whatsoever. Again, they're dodos, they're dopes. Something's not clicking there. So yeah. So let's see. So I love that Big Bird, he confuses the plane travel for travel on foot or by vehicle, where he thinks
it's like if he spent 2 hours flying, then of course he could get back on foot in 3 hours. That is definitely very childlike.
Yep, and he learns from Waylon Jennings that's not in the cards. I love the encouraging words from Waylon Jennings, like don't give up, keep going, and of course the little turkey truck gag. It's pretty funny too.
All right, so let's see. Let's get to the pursuit of friendship, and oh boy, Dragon, the wacky racer shenanigans. This is like probably what.
I love what broadcast this to trigger the wacky races. I love that Kermit the Frog and Chevy Chase broadcast that Big Bird
Yes.
And again, Kermit's beginning, Sesame Street, man.
So fitting. Yeah. All right, so just oh my God, Dragon, I can geek out on these cars all day, buddy. I'm not normally a car guy, but this is some awesome car design.
Oh yeah, I love that the neighborhood are rallying to help Big Bird, without hesitation. We got to go save our guy here. We got to save Big Bird, and we're going to do it. Thankfully, we have all these. Here's the thing: if you really break it down, is it out of left field? They all have just kind of these wacky vehicles at the ready. But again, it makes sense if you're doing a road movie. You're going to need vehicles. So again, you're going to give them fun gimmicks if they're tailored towards characters. So Bert and Ernie, they share a biplane. Which, by the way, fun fact, I don't know if you know, I assume you know this, but Jim Henson and Frank Oz are actually in the plane when it goes upside down and everything. They're actually puppeteering in the plane.
Nice.
Which is insane.
It is insane, yeah.
My God. And they get so close. They get so close to finding Big Bird. We have this great North by Northwest.
Well, Dragon, we've got the North by Northwest thing is incredible. Yeah, that's one of the funniest moments in the movie.
Great. And the bottle cap collection. Oh God, they dropped the bottle.
Dragon, we have to talk about the American tale of it all.
Yes.
Because this movie absolutely has an American tale factor going for it.
Yep. He's on the
You just drove past the carnival.
same road. Yep. Turn around.
Oh God. Dragon, arguably, it's even more frustrating in a good way than American Tail, honestly. Because most of the frustrating stuff in American Tail comes in the third act, where this is like throughout the movie.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's just break down the cars, man. Car, oh my God, Dragon, you're a toy guy. Are there toys of these cars anywhere?
I imagine. I assume there has to be. I haven't really sought them out, but I wouldn't. I'd be shocked if they're
That's
over the
something that
years.
I would personally seek out.
I'd be shocked. I don't know if they've done multiple versions of it. That may be easier to find and get your hands on. That's the thing. They might have done like a line, maybe two if you're lucky. That's the thing.
Right.
But I'm sure at some point they had to. I don't know if they're going to be exactly from the movie, but at least inspired by the movie. They've done like vehicles for characters, I'm sure.
Okay, so the Counts is wonderful.
Yes, the Count has almost like a monster mobile. Looks great. Gordon and Olivia, they're driving a Volkswagen, but it's a yellow Volkswagen. That Cookie Monster, because they really should have brought more bags.
They really should have, man. That was one of the big lapses in judgment in the whole movie.
Yeah, I think the adults were kind of like, I think some of them kind of got stuck with the Sesame Street gang, and they weren't really. They needed a vehicle, and some of them actually, like some of the Oscar owns his own cars. Like, okay, we're gonna take Oscar's car.
Okay, let's talk about Oscar, because I feel like Oscar is low-key pulling a Grumpy from Snow White and the Seven Dwarves in this movie.
I believe so as well, yes.
It's like he's going out of his way to pretend he doesn't care, when in reality he's just trying to avoid the fact that he cares most of all.
By the same token, I do think you're absolutely right about that. But also, I think Oscar just does genuinely want to sightsee while he's out. He's using this.
I can respect that. I can respect that.
I think here's the thing. I think Oscar, deep down, he is like he's lending his car and he's doing the whole thing because he does care. Like the whole neighborhood's rallying. And again, I love like kind of the special such opposite characters. Oscar the Grouch.
And of course, as we know, very famously, two sides of Carol Speeney's personality,
which is great. And of course, think about this, Tiki. We have a full circle moment with the movie where we open with Oscar and we end with Oscar, which is
exactly
also
yeah.
We have like the Grouch anthem, I think, the national Grouch anthem. The point being, we have like now you've seen the best part of this movie. Have a rotten time. That whole anyway, which is fantastic. That's the way you should start every movie. Just have your characters say, "Well, the rest of it's going to suck, but enjoy." I don't know, but seriously, I love that Oscar. I think genuinely, like his main. I think he's just saying, like, "Hey, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna just sightsee. I'm gonna use we're all just taking a road trip. I'm gonna use this as an excuse to get out because I'm in my trash can all the time. Let me get out, go around."
Sure.
Okay. So yes, Oscar. I've always loved the pairing of Oscar and Maria. By the way, because again, they too such opposites. And also, one of these days, we might do it this year. I don't know. We might. The Sesame Street Christmas special, where there's a bit with Oscar and Maria, where yet again, like Oscar hurts Big Bird's feelings. The whole the Santa Claus of it all, I'm sure. And Maria's like she's chastising Oscar. So I love when these two are kind of put up against each other and they're paired together for this excursion. It's a great pair, as well as good old Telly and Mr. Honker.
And of course, Super Grover's on the scene, flying around. That's great.
Yeah. And I
love how deliberately unconvincing the Super Grover flying effect is.
It ain't no Donner Superman, kids.
No.
But also, I love that Bob is coordinating with the kids at Sesame Street too. He's staying behind. He's getting the calls and everything, marking up the map.
Dragon, that's one of the things I really like about the movie, just in general, that you hit on. It's just I feel like this movie knows how to move its chess pieces around. You know what I mean? I mean that might seem like a weird thing to say about a fucking Sesame Street movie of all things, but I'm serious. It's like this because, of course, with Sesame Street we have such a wide cast of characters, from the Muppet characters to the adults, to the main Sesame Street players to the side Sesame Street players, and I feel like this movie does a really fantastic job of just giving every single one of the people that inhabits this universe something to do and some role to play.
And also, again, this is like the prime opportunity to do this before it gets to before the explosion of Elmo. And we had like I want to say it's like before the baby bear character and everything, which is Elmo's buddy and everything. That's saying we're doing.
Elmo,
Actually, no, he's
Elmo,
actually wait, no, he's not Elmo.
Elmo,
Actually, wait, he's
Elmo. I'm sorry. I'm having traumatic
actually,
flashbacks.
of course, he's not Elmo's buddy. He's a Telly's buddy, I think. Yeah. The point being, I don't know.
Gotcha.
I think most of the point being, I think we have just the right amount of characters at this point in time.
I am just like I am such a diehard like the best Sesame Street is pre-Elmo Sesame Street. I am absolutely in that camp.
I will admit, I think there's a brief '90s window before we hit like the peak of Elmo, before he catches on like wildfire. I think there is a period where he feel like I like the idea of you and Sesame Street, and you have like that one Elmo segment. Remember that where he's like you go to his room,
Right.
then you're back to the rest of the story. Like that's like proper amount of Elmo. Then we oversaturate it. That said, though, his new talk show does sound interesting. I hear
You know what? I was going to bring that up. I am just because I'm starving for Muppet content. I'm probably going to check that out.
Yeah, I hear he has Batman on him. I'm dying to know how that one goes.
Oh wow. Well, I'll check it out. Maybe it'll be on my my TV for memoirs this month.
Sure. Okay. Anyway, so point being, we have the whole gang again. Probably the best opportunity to use like all your characters before we blow up with extra characters now, like Zoe and everything, the whole bunch. So yeah, it's like just right.
Zoe. Oh God. I'm sorry, all these characters that I'm just like not fond of.
That's what I'm saying. It's like again prime real estate before we have too much. Okay, so point being, we've set up kind of our the friend's going to be there for Big Bird. They're embarking on their journey to bring their friend home. Which again, this is where the road movie really takes place, where Big Bird's on the run and their friends. They're going to go out there. They're going to bring them home. They're going to bring their bird home, man. Okay.
Alrighty. So let's go to the pursuit of food and shelter because, of course, you need that.
Yeah, so let's start with food because again, I love on the road. They stop in a little diner. I'm sure you loved this scene, didn't you?
Oh yeah, of course. Because who hasn't been to a diner like this where it almost feels like it's designed to just piss you off?
We stop in the Don't Drop In.
That's such a great name. That's such a fantastic name.
Don't Drop In. I love Oscar's logic here. Where again, this is Oscar in this adventure, at least on the surface and for the most part for the sightseeing, and he wants he wants an unforgettable dining experience. And we ate lunch at Friendly's. Now it's my turn. Friendly's, which is so funny. What the frick? Oh god, I love that. So we have this beautifully orchestrated, almost Joe Dante and chaos in this bizarro diner, where everything is like intentionally supposed to be terrible. It's basically a Grouch-based diner, and they're all like
right.
It's like again, it's the Friendlies for Grouches. And or like an IHOP. The point being, it's a diner for Grouches. And what is the main food of choice, Tiki? What's the one everyone gets next to?
The tossed salad, right?
Yes, the tossed salad via catapult.
Oh God!
Again, this one time I love when Maria's paired up with Oscar for reasons like this, where she's going in like, "I'll use the phone while Big Bird getting the bite to eat." And so the toss is the least disgusting thing on the menu, where it's least disgusting, but the method of which maybe not so hygienic. So basically, we're shooting toss salads for everyone. It's going all over the place.
God.
Oh, Z, we have a comment here.
Oh, yeah?
ZNK Channel says, does that mean it's also a motel, meaning this is where you could stay the night? It is called the Don't Drop In with two N's, as he says.
That's true. Comment. That's true.
Entirely possible, I guess. I mean, I'd buy that. Motel and a diner. I mean, have you ever seen that in your travels? Ever see like kind of like a diner linked into a motel?
Oh God, all the time. Yes, in California. Yes, absolutely. I'm surprised. It's maybe a West Coast thing, Dragon, but yeah, all the time. There's like little diners and stuff like attached to the hotel. Half the time, the diner's not even open. That's kind of like one of the running jokes with those kind of places. But yes, Dragon, that's actually very common with hotels around here.
Oh, there you go. All right. So, of course, if we talk about what the food situation is, let's talk about the shelter situation here. Where Big Bird, I love Big Bird the fugitive. Like Big Bird, kind of as Bill Bixby in this situation. He's on the run. He's making friends along the way. You know, goes to the farm because there's always got to be a farm in a road movie or like kind of an out of the way location like the church in the Muppet movie. We gotta go somewhere like that.
Well, you know what? At least they don't get involved in father's daughter shenanigans because that's the cliche that I don't like.
I know, I hate that too. I mean, the only time it's ever worked was Pee Wee's Big Holiday. It's the only time it's ever
And the
worked.
only reason that works is because they're making fun of the trope.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's the only reason. Anyway, okay. So, so again, I love Big Bird the Fugitive, and I love that he's making friends with these two kids on the farm. I think it's Ruthie and Floyd. It's so nice just to see again, like so on brand for Big Bird, And then they take pity upon him. They says, "Hey, you look tired. You want to sleep in the barn?" And they give him shelter, and also this is also the educational element of Big Bird also comes into play, where they show him how to what a water pump well works, how that whole thing works.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice. The biggest chicken I've ever seen. I'm not a chicken. I'm a bird on the run. Biggest trailer moment ever. But yeah, it's also like a nice little message of showing kindness to strangers. Quite inspiring, It's Big Bird playing with the kids. Like, he just wanted hey, you want to play with us tomorrow morning? Like, yeah, sure. I mean, it's very cute stuff. Good stuff. Okay.
All right, and that leads us into The Pursuit of Freedom. Big theme of this movie. All right, so Dragon, let's talk about the Sleaze Brothers.
Yes, we go to Toadstool, Indiana, folks. I think the name will
I love that name for a town. That's such a great, Dragon, here's the thing. I think this movie is on par with the first two Muppet movies in terms of delivering, iconic locations. Do you agree?
I would agree, yes.
Because, of course, with the first Muppet movie, we have stuff like Doc Hopper's, and then in The Great Muppet Caper, we have the Holiday Hotel.
Oh, yeah. Again, we have the El Sleazo Cafe, which I gotta admit, when I saw the Sleaze Brothers, I did ponder. I did ponder. Wait a minute. Nah, too coincidental. It'd be great if they started a small business, though. Anyway.
Oh God!
So by the way, I completely forgot the names that play the Sleaze Brothers. These aren't huge eye-catching names. These are familiar, kind of cozy names, man. These are Joe Flaherty and Dave Thomas. Joe Flaherty, he's the Western Union guy from Back to the Future 2. At the end of Back to the Future 2, he's the one who brings Marty the letter from Doc.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's something that'll always immortalize him.
He's the one who cries later during the blue thing, the Bluebird thing. And Dave Thomas, he's from Stripes and Coneheads. He was the leader in Coneheads, the movie. I
still need to watch Coneheads.
I love, man. I don't even know if it's great, but I love Coneheads.
That's kind of what I'm worried about, Dragon. I'm worried that you have personal nostalgia for Coneheads, and I'm gonna watch it and be like, "What the fuck is this?"
But trust me, even so, it might be for you, it might be a so bad it's good thing. I don't know, because I just I like the Coneheads period, and I just I like the movie. That's just me. Anyways, I think the movie has heart, but anyway, the point being, Sid and Sam Sleaze. So again, like we were saying earlier, these guys, they're not evil at all.
Hold
not
on.
evil at all.
What did you just say?
Sid and Sam Sleaze.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad.
Okay. Anyway,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So they're not evil at all. These guys, not evil at all. They're borderline, they're naughty school children at best. I can't even call them bullies, but they're eating the kid's apple. That's the worst. I mean, it's kind of the worst thing they do. And again, they don't let Big Bird out of the cage. Those are the two worst things that they do. So again, they are doing something they're doing something not good. But it's those rapscallions. Oh, they should have had better parents or something. And oh boy, they didn't go right for them. So, they're running the Sleaze Carnival. I love the overcharging gag where this kid laughs so hard. The kid is stuck on the top of the Ferris wheels. Hey, let me down! It's 10 cents. It's a 10-cent round trip. So they toss him a nickel. It's great. And they eat the kid's apple too, which is that's what I'm saying. I just love they hit again so perfectly for a kids movie. It's we're not doing violence or villainy or anything. We don't need Sesame. It would have felt really wrong if Gordon had to punch one of these guys. It would have felt really wrong.
Right.
I'm saying. So like the brothers are relatively harmless. It's just basically the message of don't trust in strangers, which Big Bird unfortunately does when he's on the run from Miss Finch, and he
Oh
walks right
God,
into the
he
cage.
gets into the hiding cage. Yeah. Oh man, that's like the one moment where it's like, come on, Big Bird, come on, you should know better, Big Bird.
See, for me, it would be like, how is this going to hide me? It's a cage. There are holes in the bars. They're gonna, you know,
Right, right.
you'd think. Yeah, so it's not point being moral. Don't trust strangers. I mean, if you're in a situation you come across, the kindness of strangers, that's great. By the same token, don't blindly trust strangers either.
Uh,
So then that leads to a big hallmark moment of the entire film.
oh yes, oh yes. The Bluebird of Happiness. Oh God. Dragon, it's just one of those things where it's like this is like one of my early nostalgia critic memories, but he hit it right on the head. It's like you don't even need to know the context for this. It's like the scene alone is just inherently freaking sad.
Oh yeah, and again, like the worst thing these guys do is they paint Big Bird blue, and again to hide him, so because he's hot, because
Oh,
people are going to come looking for him, so they paint him blue. And then I completely forgot about this. I forgot they dressed him up like a clown too.
to
They
me,
made him
the
a
clown thing is
Pagliacci.
almost even more offensive than the blue thing.
I know that's it's really sad. Here again, they're trying to sell like the happy commodity, the happy clown, as it were, which ends up being truly a Pagliacci moment for Big Bird.
Oh God.
Literally, Tiki, literally the caged bird sings. I mean, you can't get
Oh,
any more.
absolutely, absolutely.
And I love, and
it's very on the nose in a good way.
it feels a little bit like Appa's Lost Days in the sense you're at the circus,
The whole movie kind of has an Appa's Lost Days vibe, if I'm being honest.
sure, just less as traumatizing.
Sure, sure. I mean, besides this, I would say
Well,
this
I mean,
equally as
he's not being
traumatizing
whipped.
as anything in Appa's Last Days.
I mean, he's not being whipped and like pricked by cactuses and everything.
You know what? There's a difference between physical trauma and mental trauma, and this is mental trauma, Trenton.
Okay, I'll concede to that. Just to bolster that, if I may, to bolster your point.
All right.
You also have the fact that again, Big Bird again, his freedom has been taken away from him. Big Bird again, he's been kind of on this journey. He's just been kind of taken out of that journey again through his own naivete. Where again, he's taken away from the institution of learning that was Sesame Street. Now he's kind of suffering for that, and you feel bad for him. He now has Big Bird now has no options. Where he was like kind of for a moment he was flirting with being the bird in charge of his own destiny. Where
Right.
I can go home. I can do this. I can run away from Miss Finch. I don't want that, so I'm going to make a choice here. The choice has been taken out of his hands, and I love how palatable and understood. And again, this is what I'm talking about. The quality of the movie. The feelings are conveyed so perfectly. Where all the kids are sympathetic to the sad Big Bird. Like you don't have any of that cynical, like yeah, make him dance. You don't have any of that. No. Just it's such a palatable sadness. And even one of the brothers, again, even Sid Sleaze, Joe Flaherty, he's shedding a tear while he's holding the light on Big Bird, which is, this is what I'm telling you, these guys aren't bad guys. They're in the wrong business right now. But
yeah, exactly, exactly, right.
I mean, one of them's particularly greedy. The other's two half-wits.
They're like that one. They're like that one guy who tries to rob Iroh in the Tales of Ba Sing Se.
Exactly. That's the better example. The worst example I'm about to make here is like they're the kids before they get reached by G.I. Joe.
Oh God. Yeah.
It's like if G.I. Joe didn't come along, they'd be the Sleaze Brothers. It'd be like, well, now we don't know, so we're the Sleaze Brothers now. Anyway. But again, it's so uplifting to see the kids, like a couple kids from the audience. I think the kid from earlier with the with the nickel. I think that kid's one of the two. Anyway, so these kids. I love seeing kids with a conscience to help Big Bird, where and Big Bird says, call Sesame Street, tell them where I am. And these kids do the responsible thing. That's such an uplifting message for the kids in the audience, too. Just saying, hey, if you see something wrong, you tell somebody about it. You reach out, you do the right thing. It's so beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a comment from ZNK channel. He says it's strange how the Sleaze Brothers and Huxley from Grouchland are better villains than the Joe Pesci Trump parody from their 25th anniversary special. Dragon, you know anything about this?
I'm completely in the dark about this Pesci
Sorry,
thing.
ZNK channel. To be honest with you, anything that's a Trump parody, to be honest with you, is it's a little overplayed, actually. So I don't know. Definitely sounds like these guys are way better villains. In terms of the Sesame Street / Muppet villains, let's be honest here. We have, of course, we have Miss Finch, who's child abduction essentially, and then Huxley from Elmo and Grouchland is child murder. But then Dragon, then we have Doc Hopper, who's essentially cannibalism.
Well, I mean, I technically, wouldn't it be frog genocide? Is that kind of what he's doing?
Kind of, yes, in a way. It
can't be cannibal because he's not serving people, but he's trying
there's a lot of dark implications about Doc Hopper that are kind of looming under the surface.
But let's face it. I mean, Doc Hopper's up there. It's either Doc Hopper or Charles Grodin from Great Muppet Career. He's the most complex villain. He's the one who's conflicted about what he's doing. That's what's great about Charles Grodin, because he fell in love with the mark. And
that's the thing. I don't even want to put Charles Grodin in the same category just because he's so likable.
That's what I'm saying, though. He was a great complex villain because he drew a gun on Kermit, though. He was a bad guy, but still, you're right. That's what I'm saying. You had great complex villains in these Muppet movies, and again, in these cases, you had these really these interesting antagonists. Were not even villains for Sesame Street, which is appropriate, though. Where again, they can't really be. I mean, Huxley's a little bit of a different case, but you know what I mean.
C&K Channel saying he was pretty much Tex Richmond from the 2011 film. And you know what? Tex Richmond is another one where it's like he's not super deep, but I definitely think he has his comedic moments. I mean, I think maniacal laugh is iconic.
I still love the end, like the end credit thing with Tex Richmond, where basically all it took was like Gonzo fixed him with a bowling ball.
Right. I also like how Bobo kind of made his resurgence by being Tex Richmond's assistant.
Right. Wait, was he?
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay.
It was Bobo and Deadly, I think.
Yeah, no, it was Deadly. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to remember. I remember more Deadly than Bobo.
I'm pretty sure Bobo was in there too.
I think you're right, because the main thing, whenever I hear Bobo as the henchman, obviously I'm thinking about him and Jeffrey Tambor. That's what I'm thinking.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Anyway, so the rescue. Okay, I love this rescue. Is so fun, man. This is we have this really fun yet somewhat it's infectiously tense in that it's like tense in like the giddy kid way of like, oh boy, I don't know if they're gonna make it. It's this great moment of saving Big Bird where everyone kind of gets a moment in the scene. Again, really great use of the characters. We're maximizing our real estate here with characters. Where Cookie Monster, like he has something to do in the scene where he's messing with the box of cookies, which is like, oh god, he's gonna wake the Sleaze brothers up.
Right.
The count is counting out loud out of excitement with the keys. 1 key, 2 keys left.
I love that. I love that the count just can't contain himself.
And speaking of that, I love that Maria, she's trying to keep Big Bird quiet, like the overjoyed Big Bird. Oh, you found me. He's like, shh, Big Bird, shush. It's like,
Maria.
So ultimately, again, another one of the big money scenes of the whole thing, along with the blue. Again, there's blue in both scenes, so you know what I mean. The point, but the other Bluebird happiness scene, if you will. I love the scale of the stakes of Big Bird. Ultimately, the big climax of the film, because the Sleaze brothers wake up, but again, it's Sesame Street. He's not going to pull a gun on him like Charles Grodin, the Kermit the Frog. He can't do that. It's Sesame Street, or he can't. Like they can't get into a fight or anything. And again, that's a very respectable, smart choice. But ultimately, it boils down to they're just going to drive away before they get the key in the lock, which leads to a bit of a car chase thing. And it's almost like a Toy Story effect of like the end of the first Toy Story. It has massive importance. Like, oh no, we want Big Bird to be reunited. We want Buzz and Woody to get back on the moving truck. Yet the scale is so small in that regard. It's like just like a toy car chasing a moving truck, or in this case, a car just not super far from the cage, where it just needs to take like a bit of a leap there, which basically it's more like a practicality thing. That is Carol Spinney going to be able to jump from point A to point B?
Right.
But outside of that, though, it's like Big Bird should be able to make the leap there, and it's just love that it's like this. It's like a non-violent showdown, but again, like the tension is there. It's a very important moment. You say Gordon's telling, "Jump, Big Bird. It's okay. I know I told you not to jump before. It's okay to jump now."
Oh yeah. That's another thing I love is that Big Bird's kind of like he's sort of like the morals of the show almost kind of come back to screw them at the end almost.
Which is great. And I love ultimately...
Just one time, Big Bird.
I love John Candy. We bring in John Candy as a great cameo as the kid from earlier who was on the Ferris wheel. He basically identifies the Sleaze brothers. These are the guys that stole my apple, and of course did all the other bad stuff. It's like, hey, did you steal this kid's apple? It's like, well, that's perfect. I just love that's the undo. It's a perfect comeuppance. Like, it's perfect kid friendly comeuppance for the Sleaze brothers. I love it.
All right. So let's see. That just ends with the pursuit of home, the ending.
And so after earning his physical freedom, he's now earning the freedom of choice.
And Dragon, the ending, it's like, what can you say? It's utterly cathartic, I think.
Absolutely. And again, I love the full circle nature of it, where yet again we return to where we started with Sesame Street, as like it could end any other way, but it ends the way you want it to. Where Big Bird now, think about it, Big Bird is a character. He's just basically armed with he's faced with the same question with Miss Finch and everything. She comes back to Sesame Street, and she knew she had a feeling it was going to end there anyway. Like if she can't find him on the road, he's going to come back there. So
sure,
he would absolutely have to face Miss Finch again one more time. But now Big Bird, having gone through all this, he kind of has a defense for. He has more of a defense for that he does. It's the 6-year-old kid now fully grasping what he has is fine. What he has is perfectly acceptable. And that's kind of what he's trying to get through to Miss Finch along with the rest of the community here, is that I do have a family. It's unconventional. It's in the kind of this melting pot of a family unit of this community here. And we have this beautiful, like, kind of the shot where we kind of go around the whole place, like a circular shot here. Like we have people, we have cows, we have Bert and Ernie and dogs and birds and monsters and kids and honkers and grouches. And it just, it's like, well, I mean, they make you happy, and I mean, they go all this way to find you, so they clearly care about you. It's like, yeah, it's all that really matters. And again, we kind of, again, not that she was a villain entirely, but again, we open our eyes a little bit here. I love that, and this is the perfect note. Miss Finch, she accomplished absolutely nothing, but she takes it as a win.
Right, totally.
Well, again, it's a true to life thing with any bureaucrats. I can't fault it's a true to life thing where it's like, well, I can count this as a win because I can mark it, basically I can stamp them as taken care of. Okay,
exactly.
on to the next one. Exactly. And the most important reunion of the film, reunion with Snuffy. Reunites with Snuffy. Brrr! And it was really touching, just like, but can I stop watching your stuff now? Oh, Snuffy. And oh god, and this is what really touched me. I completely forgot about this part, Tiki. The ending with Oscar. And I love this character. I've never seen this character before until this movie. Bruno. Oscar is being carried around by kind of like a garbage man who's kind of like a chauffeur for him, which is a brilliant idea. It's also a shot. I have no idea how they did this too, because think about it. He's carrying Oscar, and Oscar turns around while this character is doing stuff. So and again, he's holding Oscar in midair. Like you can't hide Carol Spinney in the garbage can this time. So I assume Carol Spinney's in the Bruno suit, and he's like has a hand doing Oscar. I can only imagine that's how they're doing this. But yeah, I just love this full circle bit with Oscar. And again, basically what this signifies is like something we should absolutely know the reason we're doing this as well with the 35th anniversary in mind too, is again, Oscar signifies this is Carol Spinney's movie. I mean, it's Big Bird's movie, but Oscar the Grouch opens and buttons the thing perfectly, where it's just this beautiful where Oscar, he wants to get away from all the sentiment. Bruno forces Oscar to face the sentiment for a mere moment. It's like, hey, just like turns, hey, Bruno, come on. But it's a perfect moment. Like even Oscar, through this character, can kind of express, you know what? I like it here. But then it keeps going on.
Sure. All right. Okay. Oh, shoot. Dragon, you might want to transition to the next thing. I need to maybe restart. Hold on.
Well, this is the ending, but
yeah, I know. Just say your final thoughts. My browser's like fucking up right now.
Okay, final thoughts from me. Again, there's something cosmically right about this film. It's a love letter to Carol Spinney and what he brought to Sesame Street. Big Bird was this. Big Bird, as many of our introductions to, he was kind of this wanderer, just trying to educate the children in the Muppet movies. His character kind of walking his distance, traveling. He's the travelogue character. He's the traveler, and this is a proper continuation of that moment in a way. This is like when a film becomes a feeling that's something, and that's something truly special. This film just absolutely becomes a feeling more than becomes a film. So rarely in life do you come across something like that. It's wonderful. 35 years later, where this film just celebrates all of this so well. 35 years later, you can kind of celebrate kind of just the good feeling this has. You know, it has like a wonderful touchstone with this film. Any way you come across it, and it all. It's just it's so. At the end of the day, it's so beautiful that Big Bird as a character, as Carol Spinney as Big Bird, he touched all these lives, and they all came for him at the end of the day, and all of this led him back home to where he belonged. And in a sense, you know, Big Bird being kind of an adopted character, it's like the world adopted him, not just the world Sesame Street, but the world collectively, and the fans of the movie, and the people who went to see the movie, and everything. Like the world has kind of adopted this character, and that's kind of what the movie's all about. And I think that's kind of wonderful, and that's kind of what the big legacy of the movie. 35 years later, we all adopted this wonderful character into our lives, and it kind of enriched all of us for the better. Yeah.
Again, sweet Jesus, my computer. Do you think? I'm sorry, folks. Try and just wrap this up here, but computer's making it difficult. Hold on. I'm just trying to get back to the root image. I'm terribly sorry, Dragon.
That's fine. Also, thanks to ZNK Channel for joining us, by the way. Really enjoyed your comments, gave us some stuff to think about, kind of reminiscing about the Muppet villains and kind of the universe of Muppet villains and such. You know, I love
definitely ZNK Channel. I don't know if this is your first time on the channel, but if it is, thank you so much for joining us. You know, we're always striving to create really good analytical geek culture podcasting content. That's our goal here. So I hope you like what you saw. All right, Dragon, final thoughts on my end. I think this is, you know, it's not quite as well polished and refined as the first two Muppet movies, but that's fine. You know, I feel like there's so much good-hearted and well-meaning maturity and laughter to be found in this movie. I feel like it's a movie where, yes, it's absolutely aimed at kids, and you know, frankly, if I have one flaw in the movie, it's that I think there's maybe one too many songs, but whatever, it's fine. You see, ZNK Channel, do we know who you are? I'm terribly sorry because I don't recognize your username. Did you used to go by another username? If not, I'm terribly sorry. I try to keep up with the fans. I'm embarrassed now. But glad to have you, ZNK, though. I'm honestly like, this is more a slight against me than it is against you, that I genuinely don't remember seeing your username around these parts. But okay. So yeah, I think, like I said earlier, Dragon, I think that this is just such a well-oiled machine when it comes to just you just haven't done too many live feed videos. Well, thanks for being around, ZNK. I really appreciate you. Really appreciate when people jump into the live feeds and do comments and stuff. You know, we're trying really hard here. So, you know, I'll really appreciate all the positive feedback we can get. All right. So I think that we have a great cast of characters here. It's just like, it's 80s era Sesame Street at its like blue meth, like raw form, you know, its purest potential. I love that this movie really doesn't sacrifice any of the, you know, any of the educational value that made Sesame Street great. But then at the end of the day, they still find a way to be like, no, Big Bird, you got to break the rules once. It's just such a great, clever, you know, all around well-hearted film. And that freaking Bluebird of Happiness song is just utterly heartbreaking and in a totally like, you know, you don't need any context at all to find that thing heartbreaking. Just the imagery and the lyrics alone are heartbreaking.
The movie, it's something that kind of occurred to me too, as soon as you said this. The movie is kind of a graduation from the education to kind of a moral education. That's kind of what the movie is.
Absolutely. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Well put. Well put. All right. And I think we'll end on that, folks. Dragon, should we tease up a couple other things we have in the pipeline, or should we just leave them hanging?
Let's just say, you know, this Sunday, folks, is another the 35th anniversary. It actually happens on that day, so we're actually going to be
nice.
We actually kind of missed this one by. We're in the general window, but we might have been at least in the same week, I think, for this one. I'm not sure. Maybe maybe a couple of days off from that. But this next one, though, 35th anniversary, is something that happens on Sunday. We're going to be there. We're going to cover it. It's going to be special. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great.
All right. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you. Big props to Z and K channel. And we're out of here. Have a good night, everybody. And the world will look up and say, la 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 la.
La 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 la.